you were self-published to some extent, but you use Kickstarter as your base to get sponsorship for the book. Because I think you mentioned to me earlier that to produce the book was very expensive because it's full of photographs. It's a photographic book, so it's always more expensive. So, did you find that process quite difficult, easy to approach? Did you find that people were very responsive to you in donations to help you raise the funds to produce this book?
I mean, it was a challenge for sure. Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot about doing a crowdfunding campaign, and I mean, I got it over the line. I aimed to raise 16,000. I raised 21,000, so I
Mm,
nicely cleared the line. However, that was because people were out shouting about it, and I obviously did that to the best of my ability, but I was
yeah.
also dependent on other people that had a big voice to be able to shout out about
Mm.
what
Yeah,
I
you
what
need
I
that
was doing.
though.
Yeah, you need that for sure. Yeah, yeah. But it was but I learned some good things about how you make a successful crowdfunding campaign. But yeah,
Mm.
I mean the production of the whole book was I mean it's kind of interesting because I thought I had the idea. Well, actually, what the motivator was the COP. Well, which one was it? 26, the Glasgow one.
Oh
And
yes, I went to
I
that.
thought I thought
Oh
it'd be
yes,
a
we met there.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I,
Yeah.
I thought that would be a good time to. Um, I thought it'd be great to have a book out for that.
Mm.
And so that was the motivator because I thought, what can I contribute to the COP26? And obviously all of this, everything that's going on within, the world of climate change and feeling pretty frustrated about that.
Mm.
However, realizing I also had this extraordinary archive of images. So there's not much good of them sitting in a cupboard. It's all shot on negative film and such
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
That was the action. And then thought, well, okay, need to raise the money. I kind of met some actual designers. We, commissioned two designers and we came up with a kind of idea and then thought, right, I need to raise money, raise the money. I thought, oh, great. Well, that's it. That's the hard bit done.
Mm.
But then you've actually got to make the book. And
Yes.
making a photographic book is really not easy. Just the
Mm.
technicality uh, aspects of having to scan 35 millimeter negative film and to then get all of the colors right once it's printed on paper was a really complicated process. It is really not easy at all because what you see on the screen is completely different to what you get on the printed paper.
Yeah.
And it's only
Yeah.
trial and error and it's really expensive and very laborious. So you had all that. Then you've got to get all the layouts and everything right and lots and lots and lots of other things. So that was super challenging. Anyway, finally got it done and printed, and you're like, oh right, great, now I can relax. But then you got to sell the damn thing
Yes.
and get everyone to know about it, and you're like, oh my God. So then on to the next thing, and you've also got all the fulfillment. So everyone who backed the crowdfunding campaign, you've got to make sure they get all their book and everything that they
Yep.
put in, which is also really challenging because people move address and don't tell you, and
Mm.
various other things happen. So books go missing in the post, and so lots and lots and lots of challenges.
Mm.
Um, but it was, yeah, for sure, it was a good experience because I learned a lot, and it's the first of four books. So, I just have to work out how I'm going to do the other ones.
Are you talking about the books based on your films or follow on from this book?
No, neither. So it's other work that I've made.
Okay.
So quite a lot of my work is about countercultural movements. So whilst I was photographing all the environmental protests, at that same time, I was also photographing illegal raves in London. So I made a 2-year body of work called London Acid City. So that's
Oh
on the
yes.
illegal squat parties. So from
Yes.
96 to 98,
Yeah.
that is a book. And then also similar time, late 90s, I was photographing street photography in London using this tiny little small compact camera shooting on film. Just
Mm.
very much, street photography is kind of defined by a series of non-related images that talk of the wider experience of life, what it is to be
Mm.
alive. And I shot that in quite a personal kind of way. And I think that will make a really interesting book. It's
Mm.
quite
Mm.
poetic.
Yeah.
And then the final of those four books is the work that I'm shooting now, though I haven't shot it actually for a couple of years, though the project is about 80% shot, and that
Mm.
is about the passage of the soul, the journey from fear to love through the use of psychedelic plant medicine. So that's photographing ceremonies for things like ayahuasca and other plants, psychedelic plants.
Mm.
And that's a book about life and death, really.
You, the subjects are very intense that you've chosen and very complex and visually complex as well as in every other way. So will you, when you publish these books, will you be going down the same route as you did for When the Last Oak Falls?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know because um I mean my reason for self-publishing The Last Oak was because I knew exactly what I wanted. And I knew if I wanted to make a really great book, probably the best way was to just do it myself.
Mm,
And I think that has been the result. I've made what I believe is a really strong,
mm,
beautiful book.
mm,
Um, However, for all the reasons I was just mentioning, it's a hell of a lot of work,
mm,
self-publishing. And there is something to be said for seeing if I could do a deal with a publisher and say, look, I've got three further books.
mm,
Would you be interested? Um, which yeah, is something I'd certainly like to have some discussions about that. So my next stage is to create three dummy books,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then I can go and approach some publishers and just
yes,
say, what do you think, and see what they're offering.
yeah. That's a good way forward. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
but it's yeah, I'm interested in that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because there's a very famous author. You can't call them authoresses anymore. Even we females are called authors now. And she produced a video on how to make a book trailer. And
Mm,
I haven't yet done one, but
mm,
she said it's almost acts like a business card. You
mm,
can send it out to your publishers, your book trailer, and
mm,
they'll get a sense of what your book is going to be about.
mm.
That's always an option, thinking about, the
It's a good
listeners,
idea. It's an
ways
interesting
of
idea.
how do you get your book in front of the people you want to get your book in front of?
Yeah, well, I mean that's like a film. You have to do,
Yes,
kind of synopsis.
yes,
I mean, it's a
yeah,
similar kind of types idea.
yeah, yeah. So just to come back to When the Last Oak Falls, looking back, how does thinking about the future generations when they pick up your book as an example, what do you hope that they will feel when they pick up the book, know the history behind the story, what happened, and especially when you now say that the government realized that it was a mistake to have built the Newbury bypass and cancelled many plans for bypasses. And how do you hope they'll feel, in their minds emotionally? How will they relay that feeling, that information to their future generations about how the world should be lived in and what we should learn from the past?
Well, one of the reasons why I made that book was, well, there's three reasons. The first was to acknowledge and celebrate those um, those that really put their lives on the line
Mm,
at the Newbury bypass, at
yeah.
Stanworth Valley, reclaimed streets, all this kind of thing. The second reason was because there's a younger, newer generation of activists who don't even know anything about this older generation. And
Mm,
I think when you're clearer in the roots of the movement that you so rightly follow, that the deep bit like a tree, the deeper the roots, the stronger the tree. So
mm,
it's harder to kind of push over that movement if they have that connection to the legacy of which they follow.
mm,
So I wanted to make this newer, younger generation aware of what had come before them because it's extraordinary how many people just don't know about it.
yeah.
And then the third reason is because um, since the Industrial Revolution of 1753, half of all the CO2 that's been emitted has been done so in the last 25 years.
Mm,
Now, that last 25 years, so if you go back 25 years ago, that is when the people were in the trees shouting from the top of the trees saying, listen, this relationship we've got to the planet is totally, it's not working, and we really need to change that. and we need to take a fundamentally different approach. And um, if only we'd listened to them then,
Yeah.
would we be in the situation that we're in now? And so that, if you want one line about the message of the book, that's what it is. Listen to the activists because they're bang on the money.
Yeah.
We see that around the world right today in a
Yes.
myriad of different issues that are taking place, but generally listen to the activists because they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
That's been my experience.
Yeah. Thank you, Adrian. I think part of this conversation has really sent shivers through me, thinking about maybe have I also been paying enough attention to what's been going on around? And I think I will be sitting up much more and paying attention a lot more. I live in a part of the world, as you know, up in the Highlands of Scotland, that disturbs me sometimes. There is most of the land in Scotland is owned by one Danish guy, and I believe he is very much keen on rewilding Scotland. And yet I will go through the Highlands and I will see acres and acres and acres of land that have been devastated by tree cutting. And the idea is that when the trees are cut, there's a period of time when it lies fallow and then you replant. I don't see replanting going around. Um, so there's a lot of issues of green up here in Scotland. And one of the things I promised myself when I came here is I would really, really get involved in what's happening up here in the Highlands of Scotland, much more so than when I lived down in Brighton and Hove. Up here, I feel it's so much natural beauty, but there's a lot that lies underneath that isn't healthy. And so
Mhm.
for me, it was really important to come up here